All right, let's move on from the All-Star game. Let's head over to the actual NBA, and we're going to be doing a bit of an MVP check-in because I think this year the race is kind of open. I don't think there's a clear front runner like we've had with Giannis in the last few years. I think there is opportunity for several guys to sort of put their hand up and win the award, depending on what happens in the second half of the season. We'll start off with who we think are our favorites. I'll throw it over to you, Cal. Who's your favorite at this point in the season?
If the season ended right now, I would still put a vote in for. Well, actually, it's changed since last time, but it's going to be Joel Embiid. Would be the guy who I would vote for right now, even though he's injured. He's
Yeah.
only going to be out for a couple weeks, but he would be my vote getter right now if it
Okay.
did end. And that's just because he's just been amazing. He's been super consistent. I feel like he is the front runner. This injury will hurt him, which is a shame.
Yeah.
So that really would act. This is actually going to make the race a bit more interesting
It will, I
as well.
think.
So
So
yeah.
so what if we took that injury into consideration and we were projecting forward rather than like the season ending right now? Would that change your decision, or do you still think that it's just a little bit of a setback and not going to hurt his chances too much? Do you think
If
still
I
think
could
he
put some
wins?
money on it now, I'd probably switch it to my second pick if I could
Okay.
vote now. But look, if
Yeah.
I'm going to do a full season prediction, I'd actually give it to Nikola Jokic
Okay.
because
Interesting.
those Nuggets have jumped up. Jamal's actually starting to play like a good, like he was similar to the bubble, Jamal, which means they're winning games and that
Yeah.
they've climbed up the rankings pretty well now. The Western
Yeah.
Conference, they are fifth seed, 23 and 16.
It's pretty
And
close with a
it is
bunch of those
tight.
teams, though. Yeah, it's not like they're right down compared to some of those other teams. So I can see them moving up higher as the season goes on. He's my pick at the moment, Nikola Jokic. He's my number one pick moving forward. I've got LeBron second, who's climbed, and I've given him a little bit more respect than I did in our last podcast. And then I probably got Embiid third. Just that injury is enough to hurt him a little bit more. I think missing a couple of weeks. It's something you got to throw in there. Thank God it wasn't a worse injury than what it was. It did look bad at the moment at the time, but yeah. So I'm in agreement. I think Nikola Jokic will get there in the end, and yeah, that would be a pretty crazy one I wouldn't have picked at the start of the year.
Yeah, like I mean, even in fantasy as well, no one really thought that he was just going to explode like this. Like his stats are
Yeah,
ridiculous. It's like
yeah,
28, 11, and 9. So 100% MVP numbers. He's even
yeah.
close to the league leaders in steals, getting close to 2 steals a game. So
Crazy.
there's an argument to say it's on both ends. He
Yeah.
doesn't block shots very much, but
No.
otherwise he's doing
Yeah.
it all for that team. He's carrying them, and look, they're getting wins now. So
Yeah.
if you look at their record recently, I guess in their past 10 games, 7-3. So that's pretty
Yeah.
solid. They have a lot of home games as well. I think the remainder of
Uh-huh.
the season, they're actually one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
highest percentage of home games. And with Denver, we know that the attitude does actually help them. So he is lined up for a pretty good battle with Joel and also LeBron, who was my other shout out for the MVP race.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'll be close, and I think that you could see a lot of sort of different votes from different media members between first, second, and all that sort of stuff. So I think it will come down to the wire. But looks like we're both in agreement with the big man, the Joker. Now we want to shout out some dark horses, some players who probably haven't been getting as much love and maybe rightfully so, but maybe wrongfully so. Maybe these people need a bit more consideration, and I think that we named 3 players before in LeBron, Jokic, and Embiid. I think one of my dark horses might be my fourth pick if I had to choose them, and I could easily see them jumping into the race from here. I'll save that and I'll throw it up to you. Who is your pick for the dark horse to win the MVP?
The dark horse for me is actually going to have to be. I've got 2 dark horses. So
Okay, I've got
I'll
2 as
start with
well.
one.
Yep.
I'm going to say Devin Booker as a dark
Okay.
horse.
Yep. I like
Um,
it.
hear me out.
Okay.
They're in the second seed right now.
Yep.
And I believe, the Jazz have been pretty lucky with the whole injury thing. Maybe they take a step up. We know the Lakers are falling. They're going to they're going to obviously be a playoff team, but with Anthony Davis out, they just kind of have to stay afloat. There is a world I can imagine the Suns get the number 1 seed. And if that
that'd be
does
crazy.
happen, Devin Booker, and the other thing that has to happen, obviously Booker has to really go out there and put up pretty much like 35 points a night. which he is capable of doing. We saw Bradley Beal do that last season after the All-Star break. He just literally averaged like 35 points a game, which is, I mean, he's leading the league in scoring this season again. So I think it's possible. He's getting more comfortable with Chris Paul out there. If he racks up the points and they get the 1 seed, I mean, it's hard not to, you have to throw him up there, at least a top 3 candidate if you have the best record in the league.
Yeah, it's interesting because he wasn't even voted as an All-Star. Like it was Chris Paul who was voted in as an All-Star over Devin Booker before obviously he came in with an injury. And now you're putting him up for MVP, which is interesting. Probably not someone that I considered him. I looked at Phoenix and obviously they're doing really well in terms of their record. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bit bold for me. Just given the nature that, he wasn't voted in as an All-Star initially. But maybe people, saw that and went, wait, that's just disrespectful, and they'll vote him in there. My dark horse is Damian Lillard is my dark horse for the MVP. The Portland Trailblazers currently sit 6th at the moment, but have an identical record to the Denver Nuggets, who, Jokic was our number 1 pick. So identical record. He has been the mainstay for that team. They've had CJ McCollum injured. They've had Nurkic injured. They've had players in and out due to COVID and things like that all season. He just dropped 50 points today. He is like, this man keeps getting it done and improves every single season. He's the 2nd leading scorer in the entire NBA. Like the more and more I think about it, the more and more he's like moving up my rankings. And I could even see him overtaking like a LeBron or an Embiid or something like that. And if they get players like CJ McCollum is back now, Nurkic is only a couple of weeks away. So their team is going to get better. They're going to improve their rankings in terms of the standings. They could take over Denver. They could take over, the Lakers with Davis out and I don't know, the Clippers if they fall a little bit. I could see them being a sort of a top 4 seed if all things sort of go their way. And I think he has to be considered there. So that's my dark horse pick, Damian Lillard. What are your thoughts?
It's a good pick. I can see it happening. They're in the 6th seed right now, but that's tied record with the Nuggets. So, and you said it, like the healthy players are coming back. Nurk should be on the way back. CJ played today. I do like it, but they really have to climb up. I think for Dame to get it, they have to really be a top 2 seed. Yeah. I don't think if they're in the 3rd seed, it will be quite enough. And another thing as well, like I guess Steph Curry out in Golden State is statistically having pretty much the same season as Damian Lillard, which to some degree can work against him because he probably has a slight better supporting cast than what Steph is dealing with right now. So that probably hurts him a little bit.
Look, I can see that. The only thing that I would say is that the supporting cast hasn't been there for the entire season. I think that with CJ and Nurk in there, yes, it's clear. But without those 2 players, I think that it's pretty close. Like, you've still got Draymond over there, Golden State, and they've got some, decent scoring wings. So without those other 2 players in Portland, I think Damian's had a really good season thus far. And to your point on the standings, you talked about Phoenix Suns, being able to take that number 1 seed. Portland Trailblazers are only 3 games behind Phoenix Suns in the win column. They're not that far behind. We've seen big fluctuations happen. So they could even catch Phoenix, really. There's still a lot of season to play, like literally half. So there's still plenty of time for them to move up the standings, especially when they get healthy. Just quickly, who was your second one? Who was your second dark horse?
Who was my second dark horse?
Hit me.
It's my guy, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler. It's a dark horse. I'll say that, but he's been killing it. And let me put up the argument. Firstly, his team.
I'll give him that.
His team made the NBA Finals last season, right? I feel like I understand that's not for the MVP award, but the whole storyline is there. Everyone's got a bit of a soft spot for him. In the past couple weeks, he has been putting up 26, 7, and 8 with over 3 steals a game, which is numbers similar to what LeBron's putting up, and LeBron's in the MVP discussion. So that's my first point. Second point is you know how it can be to your advantage when you lose a bit of time. That's worked. That's definitely in his hand, because you may remember Miami Heat were out of the playoffs a few weeks ago.
They were dead in the water.
They were not even in the play-in tournament. I think they're in the 11th
They're like 13th or 12th or something crazy.
Exactly. And since Jimmy's come back, I mean, they're 9-1 in their past 10. They've got a 5-game winning streak.
They're on a roll.
He's winning them the games, and he's putting up these ridiculous numbers. We know he's a leader. He's also a closer. So if he maintains what he's been doing for the past couple of weeks, and Miami keep winning games, and I think they will, like they're a good team. They're finally healthy. So if they climb up the Eastern Conference, right now they're in the 4th seed, and they're only 5 games behind the Nets in the second. If they get like a 1 and 2 seed, I can see it. Like he's got to be an honorable mention at least.
Well, if we look in total, not just at the conferences, Heat they're 11th in the league in terms of record. So, but they have missed a chunk of games due to COVID. So they played less games than a lot of other teams. So that is working sort of in Jimmy's favor. But yeah, I think it's another long shot.
It's a dark horse.
Yeah. But I like it. Look, you've got to give a shout out to the Heat. They've been playing really, really well. And, you know, Bam's been in and out of the lineup. You know, Jimmy's missed a couple games here and there. So, you know, just doing Heat things and winning basketball. And I think Eric Spoelstra's putting together another great coaching season. So I don't hate it, but yeah, it's a long shot. My second guy was James Harden. I think he's been, you know, leading the league in assists. On the Nets, they're playing really well. Obviously, Durant's been out. You know, you've got Kyrie there. I understand probably means that he won't get the award. But I just still think he's up there and playing much better basketball than we've seen him play at sort of Rockets before, just because he's got some actual desire for him to do so now. So I think I'll just give him a shout out that he should be somewhere in the discussion as well on a you know, dynamic Nets team.
He was definitely on my list. He's putting up numbers kind of similar to there was that one season he lost the MVP to Russell Westbrook because Russ put up the triple-double. But that was when he was putting up his kind of like 30 and like, you know, 11 assists. He's getting those assists again, which look pretty damn impressive. Yeah. So, I mean, the past
I think he should have. I was just going to say, he should have won that year when Russell Westbrook got it.
Yeah, looking back on it and the numbers that he put up, it wasn't quite a triple-double, but his team's record was a lot better. And he was the absolute motor. And I don't know, like that Nets team looks pretty scary. And this is without Kevin Durant as well, which is interesting. He's obviously missed a lot of time. He's not going to be in the MVP discussion. Kyrie has been killing it. I feel like if people were going to vote for a Nets player, though, let's say they finished first in the East. If they were going to vote for someone at this point, it would be James Harden. So I think it's a good shout out.
I think he's been the best player on their team, you know, just with the fact that Durant's been injured, and I think just the assist numbers just boost him over Kyrie even though he's scoring a little bit more. You know, James Harden's still scoring 25 points a game. Like, it's not like he's not putting up points. But yeah, those assists will sort of push him over his teammate Kyrie Irving.